Here are the most common traits that people with depression share. So this is my 4th year as a therapist, and I absolutely love what I do. And when you do this for as long as I have, you tend to see trends. You see trends with people who are experiencing anxiety, self-sabotage, depression, and things like that. And as a result, you know exactly what people are going through. And because I know exactly what people are going through, I know the exact prescription that they need in order to get them to overcome these emotions and these feelings that they're going through. So I'll give you an example. People with anxiety typically have a problem with believing everything that their mind tells them. And here's the thing about the mind. The mind is prone, it is designed. Its main purpose is to notice danger. Because if your mind didn't do that, you would walk in front of the street without looking both ways and get hit by a bus. That is not healthy. That is not good for your life. So your brain is designed to tell you to look left, look right before you cross that street. And it's like that with things internally as well, such as pain, rejection, failure, and all these other things that we tend to avoid. So that's why the mind has to look at and notice all these dangers. Now, the issue comes when the person is now believing everything. I mean, everything that the mind says. So the mind may say, hey, if you go and approach this person and ask them for a sale, if you get on this stage and present your story, if you ask your boss for a raise, there's a good chance, not even a good chance, it is going to happen in terms of failure. Like they're going to say no, they're going to reject you, all these things. And that's not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, I would love for you to notice how many things you worried about that actually did not come true. There's a famous quote by Mark Twain, and I may butcher it a little bit, but he says something along the lines of, I've experienced a lot of worries in my life, many of which have never came true. And that's what people with anxiety tend to struggle with. When it comes to the self-sabotage, these people tend to have a low self-worth, believing that they don't deserve happiness or success. And when these people believe this, they will do everything, and I mean everything, to rob themselves of that fulfillment that deep down they know they want. And again, it's because their mind is telling them, their past is telling them, someone may be literally telling them that you don't deserve this happiness, you don't deserve this success, this fulfillment. And because of that, we're going to make it true. There's a famous quote by Tony Robbins, and I love it. I see this a lot too. He says that you will find exactly what you're looking for. So if you're looking for reasons for something not to work, you will find those reasons. And if you're looking for reasons for something to work, you will find those reasons as well. And that's the issue that people with self-sabotage tend to happen. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the common traits that people with depression typically have, because I want to make sure that you can identify these things and also you have the skills to overcome them just in case you're going through this. And here's the thing about these podcasts. I may give it a title like this. I may go over some gems like I'm about to go over today. And it actually may not be for you today. It may not be for you this month. But sometime throughout your life, maybe it's next year, maybe it's in 10 years, you can come back to this podcast because it's evergreen, meaning that it's long lasting. Like all the things that I give, they're long lasting. They're tested and tried measures, right? Tested and tried techniques. So no matter when you use them, they will work. Okay. So I want you guys to keep these podcasts. So with that being said, let's go into the first common trait that people with depression typically have. So the first one is a very common one, and this one actually leads to suffering if you're not careful. So it's okay to feel sad because we all feel that. But if you approach sadness in the wrong way, which I'm going to go over, you're going to find yourself going past sadness and entering into suffering. And this is when people focus on the things that they can't change. They focus on the things that they can't control more than the things that they can control. And this, as I said, causes suffering. So what do I mean by this? Well, some things that you can't control is other people's actions, other people's thoughts, feelings, all of these things. But we tend to try to force people to speak to us this type of way, to buy our stuff, right? To give us money, give us raises, like all these things. But that's very hard to do. Now, can we influence them? Yes, we can. But at the end of the day, that person has the right, and it's not up to you, but they have the right to choose whatever it is that they want to do or say or feel. And we cannot be obsessed with that. I mean, if you look at politics, I don't talk much about politics, but you have the left wing and you have the right wing. You have CNN and then you have Fox News. When these guys get on the same platform, whether it's through presidential debates or maybe they invite someone that's typically on CNN on Fox News, when these guys start to arguing and debating, there's no getting to them because they have something that they're willing to die for. And sometimes we run into these people in our personal life. If you try to force them to believe what you believe, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. And all that extra energy that you're expending is going to leave you frustrated, overwhelmed, and stressed. And that is something that's going to put you into, as I said, the suffering. So here's an answer. I want you to get a great idea, get a great sense of what it is that you can actually control. And this will reduce the effects of all the things that you have no control over. I'll give you another example, and this was going to be political as well. So if you're focusing on the things that you can control, like your salary, right? Let's just say your salary, how much money you make if you're an entrepreneur, like whatever it is. It's very hard for no matter who's the president of the United States, to affect your income, right? To affect your income to the point where you have to make drastic changes in your life. Something else, and this is less political, but inflation. I live here in South Florida, right? It's very expensive. And because of that, a lot of people have been deciding to move to other places like Texas, Georgia, or whatever the case it may be. But me and my wife, we love it here in South Florida. And because of that, we want to stay. And recently, we actually bought a house. And we're able to buy a house because we've been constantly focusing on our careers. We've been constantly focusing on how we can make more money, the qualifications that we need to bring in more dollars, right? New ways to save, and even new investment forms, right? So, and I don't want to get into all that, but we've taken control into our own hands. And because of that, we're able to buy a house in a market that's probably top 2, if not number 1, in terms of the cost here in America. But that's because we focus on what we can control. We didn't say, man, the pandemic caused everything to go up, or people from New York are buying up all the homes. Like, we didn't say any of that, right? Because we want to take our own power into our own hands. And that actually leads to empowerment. And empowerment, guys, it leads to fulfillment and happiness. So as I mentioned for this first one, make sure you have a great understanding of what it is that you can actually control. All right, number 2, here's the second trait that most people that are depressed typically share. And I see this a lot as a therapist, and this is why people come to me. And it's because they give up on their goals too consistently, right? They're not consistent in going after their goals. They're consistent in giving up on them. I can't tell you how many times I've faced someone, I sat down with someone who's actually been very talented. And that's another thing. Even the people that who are talented at times find themselves quitting, not being consistent. And as a result, the people who have less talent than them, half their talent, as long as they're consistent, they're able to actually leapfrog those people who have the talent. And that's a whole nother story. I may actually do another podcast on that. But nonetheless, what I tend to see is people give up on their goals because they come across an obstacle. And as a result, they've accepted less than what they actually wanted. So that's when one day someone wakes up and after 5 years, 10 years, right, after they graduated, after they went to college or whatever the case may be, they look up and they're like, yo, this is not the life that I had imagined. And when the life that you have in front of you does not align with the life that you had imagined in your mind, that's going to be very depressing. That's going to suck the life out of you. And that's why it's so important to be consistent with going after your goals. So here's the answer for this one. I want you to focus on consistency rather than intensity. And I got this from James Clear's Atomic Habits. When we're setting out these action plans for our goals, these action steps that we're setting, they need to be small and achievable. By doing this time and time again, you'll eventually find yourself accomplishing some of the biggest goals you have in your life. And the thing is this consistency with being able to execute on the small things, it actually gives you the momentum that you need in order to accomplish those big goals. Because what happens is that you have an identity shift. And that's something that I spoke about in the previous podcast. When you shift that identity from taking these small actions again and again and again, you're now approaching this new goal, this new problem as an entirely different person. And that person is able to accomplish the goals that you set a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? That's what we're looking for. So be consistent with small actions. And actually, you guys should be writing down your goals and your action steps each day, each month, each year, whatever the frequency is that you would like, but just write them down. All right, and the last one, number 3, the reason why most people are depressed, and again, some of the common traits that they share, is that they're stuck in the past and they constantly blame themselves for things that have happened to them, and they have not found peace about it, right? They have not found peace about it. Guys, listen, The past, can we learn things from it? Yes, right? Even when we're driving, at times we have to look in our rearview mirror to make sure we're safe. But once we're done looking in the past and we collected the information that we needed, it's now time to move forward. And I mean that literally, guys. The past is not a bad thing. It informs us of how we should move forward in the future if we allow it to do it in a helpful way. Now, if you can imagine driving on the highway, going 90 miles an hour, and all you're doing is looking in your rearview mirror, guess what, guys? You're not going to be driving for long. And I pray that you're not, right? Because I don't want you to hit someone else or whatever the case may be. So, guys, you have to be focused on what's next, what's here in this moment. Because here's the thing. You may not see it, but right now, there's a metaphorical pen that is in your hand, a pen that you write with. And your story is still being written. And you have the power to write whatever ending you want for your life. Because what I see a lot is that people will take one chapter of their life and then make it the whole title of their book, the whole title of their story. And that's not the case. The things that have happened in your past, and I'm not trying to downplay what you've gone through, but it could represent a chapter, a paragraph, maybe even a sentence when you compare it to everything else that you've been able to accomplish, all the things that you can accomplish, and all these other things. So continue to write your story, guys, and you do that by being in the present, being right here, right now. Also, I want to say that, guys, we've all fallen short, right? We've all had mistakes in our past, even myself. I love telling my clients, if you have some time, I can actually switch places with you and I can tell you all the things that I've gone through. I can really do that. But guys, look, like you have to know that, hey, tough times, failure, coming up short, all these things are something that we all go through. I even told one client one day to find the person that they think is the most confident, right? Their most confident friend, and ask them if they ever have doubt, if they ever have negative thoughts. And when they did it, they came back with the answer that I knew that it would come back with. And they said yes. They said that they actually have them all the time. But the thing that helps them, and I'm paraphrasing what my client said, the thing that helps them is being able to focus on their goals. They know what their why is. And that's exactly what I'm asking you guys to do. Ask yourself, if there was a title to this next chapter of my life, what would I want this title to be? Based on that title, guys, that'll tell you exactly what you need to do next. All right. And again, be graceful for yourself. A lot of times people will say things, I should have known better. Guess what, guys? If we should have known better, all of us would be billionaires because we would all play the lotto. We all would have invested in Tesla or Bitcoin or Apple when it was really, really low. Like, again, we have to learn how to let these things go. And you do that by giving yourself grace. Now, I'm going to give you one technique to help you with this last one. I would love for you to sit down with pen and paper. And here's the thing, guys. Literally do this. Because you have doers and dabblers. You have some people that's going to listen to what I'm literally about to say. The thing that people pay me money for. People are going to hear this and not do anything. I don't want that to be you. So take out a pen and paper. And I want you to write a letter to your younger self. Write a letter to the person that has failed, that has come up short, that was rejected. I want you to write a letter to them, giving them grace, forgiving them, telling them that everything's going to be okay. And I want you to be as explicit as possible. And once you're done, I want you to reread that letter. And I want you to hold that letter for yourself. Because here's the thing, you don't even know this. There's a future version of yourself 5 years from now that can write a similar letter to you in this moment. Give yourself grace, guys. And that'll help you to overcome and let go of some of these things in your past. And it'll help you to stop blaming yourself, okay? So again, I want to go over these 3 points, these 3 main characteristics that people with depression typically share. First, they focus on things that they can't control more than the things that they can control. All right, guys, and I give you guys a lot of tips on how to do that. Next, they've given up on their goals and they're currently accepting the life that is less than what they desired, okay? And again, this is where you got to focus on the consistency piece more than the intensity piece, all right? What are the small actions that I can do day in and day out? And then the last one, people that are depressed are typically stuck in the past and they constantly blame themselves for things that they shouldn't be blaming themselves for, to be honest. These are the things that keep people stuck. And also, they have a tough time accepting it. They have a tough time finding peace about these things. All right? So guys, this is Coach Wells. Thank you for checking out this podcast. I'm really glad that you're here. Again, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this podcast so you can get more information like this. All right, guys. I'll see you later.